It was one of those days when the world felt heavy. I had just received my second rejection letter in a week for a job I thought was perfect for me. I sat on the park bench, staring at the faded leaves of late autumn, questioning everything: my choices, my abilities, my future. I felt adrift, a small speck in an endless sea of doubt. As I sat there, lost in my thoughts, an elderly man with a warm smile and a weathered face approached the bench. He moved slowly, leaning on a cane, and asked if he could sit. I nodded, barely looking up. After a few moments of shared silence, he spoke. "Tough day?" he asked, his voice gentle but filled with the kind of wisdom that only comes with age. I sighed, spilling my frustrations about feeling stuck, about trying so hard but not getting anywhere. He listened intently, nodding occasionally, and when I finished, he chuckled softly. It wasn't mocking, it was the kind of laugh that comes from someone who understands. "Let me tell you something," he began, adjusting his scarf. "I was a carpenter for most of my life. I loved the craft, working with my hands, turning raw wood into something beautiful and useful. But when I was 50, I lost everything in a fire: my shop, my tools, and all the projects I was working on. For a while, I thought that was the end for me. I didn't know how to start over at that age." His words intrigued me, pulling me out of my own head. "What did you do?" I asked, genuinely curious. He smiled. "I started small. I borrowed tools from friends, worked out of my garage, and took on tiny projects. It wasn't easy, but every day I reminded myself why I started woodworking in the first place. Because it brought me joy. Slowly, things turned around. I rebuilt not just my business, but also my faith in myself. That fire, as devastating as it was, became the spark that reignited my passion." His story stirred something in me. I realized I had been so focused on the end goal that I had forgotten to appreciate the journey. I asked him how he managed to keep going when things felt impossible. "One step at a time," he said simply. "And remember, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it. Each setback is just another piece of wood to carve into something better." As he stood to leave, he placed a hand on my shoulder. "You'll find your way," he said. "Just don't forget why you're walking it." That conversation stayed with me. Inspired by his resilience, I decided to shift my perspective. Instead of focusing on the rejections, I started appreciating the lessons they taught me. I applied for more jobs, but this time with renewed confidence and a clearer sense of purpose. Eventually, I landed a role that was even better than I had hoped for. The elderly man taught me that inspiration doesn't always come from grand gestures or life-changing events. Sometimes it comes from a quiet conversation on a park bench. A reminder that even in the darkest moments, there's always a spark waiting to be kindled.
Enjoyed this story? Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and join us for more inspiring tales and life lessons. Tap the bell icon to stay updated on our latest uploads. Your support means the world to us.